about cancer. We will be covering about skin cancer, or the most malignant part of it, melanoma.
And without further ado, let's meet the speaker. Okay, so today we invited someone who is very enthusiastic about cancer and skincare. So everyone, please welcome Mr. Richard Sutejo, Ph.D.
Hello everyone!
So, as far as we know, skin cancer is the type of cancer that appears on the skin,
That's right.
So, which is further classified into non-melanoma and melanoma skin cancer. So, melanoma skin cancer is apparently the more malignant form of skin cancer, where it attacks the melanocyte. And it is more prone to people with lower melanin content and high exposure to UV rays.
Right.
Okay, so exactly as Ayumi mentioned, melanoma is a type of skin cancer that arises from melanocytes, while the non-melanomas are the ones that arises from basal cell and squamous cells.
Yes.
But today, we are focusing more on the more aggressive one, which is the melanoma. So what more can you tell us regarding this type of skin cancer, sir?
Right. As you know, melanoma is the cancer that occurs on melanocyte. Now, if we want to determine why this is more malignant, we need to see the nature of the melanocyte. Right? So, compared to the basal cells and squamous cells, melanoma, when they grow, they can be radial and they can be verticals. The nature itself allows them to grow vertically. That means they can enter and invade other tissues. Number one. Number two, melanocytes are the primary cells that have the responsibility to protect the skins against the UV damage. Right? So, the melanoma itself, of course, prone to more UV damage, right, compared to the others, and then they have the recorded mutations, right, that have the more chance of it to occur than other type of skin cancer, right? And then the cell regulation itself has been shown that, right, melanoma has the highest chance to metastasize, compared to other type of skin cancer like the basals and the squamous cells. That is the primary reason.
Right, so what's scary about the melanoma is that it often looks like a mole first, right?
Nevus.
Nevus,
Yes.
or a mole.
Yes.
But there's actually like a at-home method that you can use to like differentiate whether your mole is simply a mole or it might be cancerous, which is called the ABCDE method.
A stands for asymmetry,
Where one half of the mole looks different than the other.
and B stands for borders,
So when the mole's edges are like irregular or they're blurred.
and C stands for color,
So this is when the mole has like an uneven shade of color. It can be like black or even red.
and D is for diameter,
This is when the moles are larger than 6 millimeters.
and finally E is for evolving.
And this is when the moles change in size, in shape, and color, and it can even elevate. So in the context of skin, there's actually this arising thing that people have been talking about, which is about skin microbiome.
So as far as we know, not all microorganisms are bad for us, right? Some of them can actually help us become more healthy and even thrive in our health.
Okay, so what is actually the relationship like between skin microbiota and then how it impacts your skin health?
Right. Now, if you want to talk about microbiomes, the terms that are most familiar to us is the gut microbiomes. As we have been learning all these times, gut microbiomes assist us in our digestion and even form the positive relationship to support our immune system, how we can absorb nutrients, how its metabolite can enhance our longevity even more. Now, with the similar analogy, it can be applied also to skin microbiomes. Skin microbiomes also keep the balance and sustain our skin health just in the same manner as the gut microbiomes.
So something interesting that we have recently discovered is actually this research article that says that the skin microbiome is heavily altered in melanoma. So according to this study, apparently they said that Lactobacillus, Clostridium sensu stricto 1, and Corynebacterium 1 were actually the higher microorganism in the healthy skin microbiome. While on the other hand, the Fusobacterium, Chueperella, Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, and Bacteroides were more abundant in the melanoma tissue. So what do you know about these microbiomes and how might they affect the melanoma itself?
Right. Now we return back again to the analogy of the gut microbiomes. you can also be hit by what we call it the dysbiosis, where the bad bacteria, bad microbes, those who are bring disadvantages to the gut may bring health problems, right? And then how to restore it back is to increase the amount of the beneficial bacteria and to reduce the pathogenic bacteria. So it also applies to our skin, right? There are group of skin microbiomes that contribute to the skin health. And of course, since we are contacting with the environment, there will be a pathogenic bacteria which of course will harm our skin. And in this case, we are talking about cancer. Right? So, as we know, bacteria also interact with our skin, right? And some of the bacteria may exacerbate, may induce the emergence of the melanoma itself, right? Some of the metabolites, for example, right, can induce oxidative stress. Some of them can induce DNA damage. And even some of them can suppress the immune response, the natural killer, cytotoxicity, which is initially, right, programmed to kill the melanoma cells, but the bacteria dampen it down. Yeah, there are such cases, right? So you cannot underestimate the presence of this pathogenic bacteria. It does not come only in the form of itchiness, redness, etc. Right? Some of their metabolites can help accelerate the emergence of skin cancer. Yeah, which is interesting. I think, when we are talking about these vulnerabilities, of people with skin dysbiosis, right, we can, expand some more research on this, right? Especially with the people who are prone to the skin cancer, like the Caucasians and white people.
I see. That is very interesting.
Of course, it is interesting.
And while we are talking about skin, of course we have to talk about skincare, right, Kimi?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
right.
skincare, it's a very emerging thing. So in the market, there's been a lot of products like moisturizers, or maybe sunscreens, all aimed to protect your skin to make them healthy. And of course, some people have been concerned about the chemical formulations, but most of all, of course, it's assured to be safe. So
yeah, and skincare can also be used by many people from different ages and backgrounds, and all genders are welcome. I heard that nowadays many guys also start to use skincare, right?
So
that is important, yeah.
Yeah, so exactly. The use of skincare at the right amount is set to also enhance your skin microbiome and keep them nourished and protected, especially against the pathogenic ones.
So how do you think that skincare can affect maybe help to prevent or even treat melanoma? Especially right now, there are some breakthroughs, quote unquote, on skincare about prebiotics, probiotics, postbiotics.
Ooh, right. Okay, this may sound new to you, but the current trend that we are developing in Indonesia, in terms of skincare, I don't really think that we really pay attention to the skin microbiomes. Right, because people are more focused on 3 elements of skin, right? Smoothness, firmness, and radiance, right? So these are the 3 elements. They don't really pay attention to this, right? Other elements of skin health, just like the skin microbiomes. Now, if we are talking about how to maintain, how to make the skin microbiome healthier, I personally think there are still very limited products available that cater to that purpose. Right, but of course there are some specially formulated skincare. Right? For example, they are putting probiotic, prebiotic, and postbiotics that enhance beneficial skin microbiomes. Yeah, what's the words? Beneficial skin microbiomes, not just any microbiome. So, in order to profile that skin microbiomes, it requires a more advanced instrumentation. We call it metagenomics, skin metagenomics. Right? There are few companies that actually focus on that. Right? Now, if you want to talk about its relation to melanoma, we need to focus on what we said earlier about how skin microbiomes affect melanoma. Remember, right? Some pathogenic bacteria, right, can induce oxidative stress, DNA damage, breach through the barrier so that it allows the entry of like oncogenic viruses, or they even dampen the skin ability to protect itself against the UV damage, right? So the presence of the skincare, right, that are specially formulated to prevent melanoma, whether it is intentional or unintentionally, right, it works by increasing the amount of the beneficial skin microbiomes. Remember, beneficial skin microbiomes also secretes their secretomes, their metabolites that have the competitive advantage, which are to suppress the presence of the pathogenic bacteria, to improve skin response to stress, right, and many more, right? So the formulations of the skincare, right, need to be done carefully, but since we are dealing with omics, things may get more expensive, right? But of course, this is a very valuable area for new research, especially all of us learn omics.
Yeah. So apparently for right now, there has not been any further research in terms of like how to enhance our skin microbiomes to produce maybe more of the beneficial bacteria and less of the pathogenic bacteria. So there's less research in that.
Okay, so like this, yeah. The formulation of skincare is not always about like how to advance like certain scientific areas, but of course we need to see the market demands, right? So currently, let's say in Indonesia, right, they prioritize more on the smoothness, firmness, and skin radiance, yeah, color, right, fairer, and etc. But I mean, like, if we can create a more compelling marketing strategy that can leverage skin microbiomes to improve the skin health, especially when it has been shown to have benefit on those three areas plus the aging. Right? Then the consumer will get more interest, right? They are becoming more aware. They want to buy more of the products. They are demands. Then, of course, the skincare suppliers and manufacturer will decide to allocate more on the R&D, right, to cater for the skin microbiomes formulations, right? So it depends on the market directions. Yeah. Currently, right, those three areas, I call it as a Korean beauty standards.
Because of the fairness and so
Firmness,
yeah.
remember, okay, smoothness,
Fairness,
firmness, and radiance. We call it radiance. Right, fairness, then probably some people are not fair skin naturally, right? So we call it radiance, glowing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So people aim for that like Korean beauty standard where their skin appear more glowy and rich and nice, and sometimes
You call it glass skin.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what the Indonesian market is currently.
Yes.
Instead of like maybe the using skincare to
But
combat that.
actually, right, by looking at more detailed on the skin microbiomes can contribute to those three elements. But of course, the research that is catered toward those areas are more sophisticated and of course require more funding.
But actually, do you think that the use of skincare can actually help manage the melanoma, like prevent or even treat?
The current skincare, I personally do not think that they are specially formulated to improve the symbiosis.
But
Right.
if we want to make a skincare that specifically can help melanoma patients, can we do that?
If you want to do that, we of course need to know, what is the root cause of the oncogenesis of the melanoma. If let's say it's due to the UV exposure, right, as everyone knows already, everyone should wear a sunblock, right? Yeah. So if you want to say that in the simple term, wear sunblock, everyone. But if you want to look for more towards the more comprehensive, right, skin microbiomes, right, maybe a new area to do the research, right, we need to prove first in our skin profile. Remember, yeah, skin microbiomes is not the same.
Ah.
Right? Just like our genetic profiling, it is not the same. Personalized medicine is catered personally, and so does skin microbiomes.
So not only the melanoma can be genetically specific, but also the skin microbiome is also specific from person.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, people who have different diets, people who have different skin profilings, different exposures, different geographical regions may have different skin microbiomes, right? Even if you look on each one of your skin, they are different, no? And you even wear different skincare based on your skin type. They are dry, they are oily, they are mixed, normal, super sensitive. Some of them have some skin issues like autoimmune, psoriasis, and etc. Even then, we have different skin cares to cater those different skin types. And skin microbiomes are even more diverse than that. Right? So we need to pay attention carefully, right? In which direction we want to formulate the skincare on.
I see. And then my next question is, because maybe our skin microbiome is very diverse, but as the journal said, the composition of the microorganism in melanoma patient and in healthy skin patient might differ. So can we maybe use these microbiomes profiling as like biomarkers for melanoma?
But wait a minute. Look at the paper. Which racial demographic that they use for their research? We cannot conclude if they only use certain racial profiles, or they only use the person who are staying in same geographical region. That is not valid if you want to talk about microbiomes, right? Even when you're doing research on gut microbiomes, right? Of course, there are consensus. Yeah, if you want to pick from different geographical regions, there are certain consensus that which one are beneficial, which one are pathogenic, right? But in order to do that, make sure the paper, right, look towards more diverse, yeah, racial background, geographical background, age, gender, right, to eliminate the possibility of being race specific or geographical specific. Yeah.
So I'm actually kind of curious in the context of skincare and the use of like prebiotics, probiotics, or postbiotics. Maybe, Sir Richard, do you know, has there ever been like a trial on that in real life?
They are actually a product available. I've seen one before called Neogan, if I'm not mistaken, and they are actually formulated using the bifidobacterium lactobacillus.
Is that available here? I think it's available here. Neogan.
I don't really actively look at that, right? But we can take a look on the online shop, right? But it is not really, being marketed by influencers. At least it never has any FYP of any of my social media accounts. Yeah.
It's actually a shame, because if it's true, if it can like somewhat enhance your skin microbiome, that would be very beneficial. And I think like this is a subject that not people are aware of, like the general public. So that's why we are bringing awareness that skin microbiome is very important in, especially like the symbiosis in it, and like how to combat the pathogenic ones. So I think it's kind of like a shame that it's not really being talked about.
Yes, we as the academician, right, we of course aware this is a relatively new areas, and of course we are following market trends. Yeah, and as we know, probably the prevalence of the melanoma of the Indonesian populations are not as many as those of in people here on the Western countries. That is why probably they are not paying so much attention of that. Yeah.
Maybe there's also like this, perhaps it's also because Indonesians are more, they care more about the skin fairness and like the radiance in terms of skincare compared to like the actual like skin microbiome. Because like again, the general public, I don't think they're very well informed, which is why now people are starting to talk about skin microbiome and how it can actually help enhance and even maybe like make your skin appear better without too much, let's say, dangerous chemicals that might harm your skin itself.
Yes.
Maybe do you have any more?
Yeah, I think it's such a shame that turns out, based on our discussion, turns out our skincare product has not been marketed for enhancing the
Yeah.
positive microbiome.
Yes.
So, but there might still be a chance that skincare might be the option for melanoma treatment, as you said. But we have to know the profiling of the melanoma itself, and
Yes.
also the microbiomes on each individual
Yes.
skins. Right?
And the journal that you choose may be directed towards there, but we need to see, right, the racial profiles, right? Because melanoma is cancer and cancer is heterogeneous, right? We cannot conclude, right, those, skin microbiome profiling as a reference for our skin. Yeah, if the racial profile different, I can guarantee you it will not be much comparable.
Yeah, and aside from melanoma being a heterogeneous cancer, apparently microbiome is turns out more heterogeneous.
Of course.
So it
Yeah.
requires more, like it requires more people to assess. Like there's gonna be like if there's gonna be like skincare that specifies on skin microbiomes, I think there's gonna be a lot, and so that requires more energy, more people, more resources. But do you think like in the maybe near future, is there a chance that Indonesia might try to take a look and actually care about skin microbiome?
If there are rising trends, the skin microbiomes are in line with what the general population wants, they're number one. Or if they are number two, right, due to any reasons that melanoma becoming a threat, right, a kind of pandemics among our populations, then company as the suppliers may think that, right, as the justification to pursue research on. Right, so it depends. Right, remember research, right, especially for the pharmaceutical companies, skincare companies, they will look at the trend first, yeah, because they need to upkeep their sustainability in terms of the revenue cost, right? Research is also part of the cost, yeah.
Okay, so maybe in terms of like looking into the future, then like is there any maybe recommendations from Chandra or like future directions on Indonesia and actually caring about skin microbiome in skincare? So it's like a 2+1 thing, right? So you
Right.
get skincare and your skin microbiome is still fine and it's hands, and yeah. So is there any like future directions maybe?
Right, I mean, like, of course, currently they also have the basic skincare treatment that fulfill the 3 elements of skin beauty, right, as we discussed earlier, right? But if we are to talk about future directions, right, are we talking about our future direction as a skincare producer or researcher? It depends, right? It depends on the need of the general populations, right? So let's say that if we want to look at how the people, right, are directed towards in the future, then we can start developing the research, right? But if the skin microbiomes, right, have shown to have a plethora, have a lot of benefits, right, that cater to many people, that relates to many people, right, that are beneficial to many people, then only by then we can develop the future directions. Because skincare is very dynamic, right? We cannot really predict anything, right? I would say we cannot really predict anything, right? The skin trends from 10 years ago and now is very different, right? But currently, as you know, right, the young generation are so much enraged for the Korean, right, Korean standards. So all of the references are heading toward that particular country, beauty standard, right? But we never know, because these are the complex interplay on how people shape it in the social medias by the influencers, and etc. Yeah, so this is how, and this is why we need to be actively monitor this area. Yeah.
So maybe since we're at the end, so maybe we can try to conclude. Maybe from Sir Richard, are there any take-home messages on skincare, its future, and maybe it can
For the viewers.
Yeah, so it can enhance your skin microbiome, and maybe it can also prevent or even treat melanoma by balancing the skin microbiome.
Right. Okay. I mean, like, since we are, on this recommendation, so the simplest way that can be practiced by anyone, right? Number one, skincare is genderless, Do not think that skincare is only for females. It is not for males. Yeah, that is not applicable. Right? You can see when I travel, my skincare take almost half of my suitcase.
Oh.
Right? And number two, right? Make sure to use skincare that is suitable for your skin types. Right? If you are not sure about this, do what we call it patch testing, right? So patch testing is basically you apply the skincare, right? No, not on your face, right? On the hidden areas, right? Hidden areas and sensitive, right? Like the back of the ear, right? If anything happens, people will not be able to see it, and underarms, right? These are the sensitive area. If anything bad happens, you know immediately, right? And number three, right? Of course, I mean like some investments here. Let's say for the oily skin, right, use the low pH, right, to balance out the oils. For the dry skin, you use moisturizer. And remember, we are staying in the tropical areas where the UV is very high, and this is the primary cause of the skin cancers. Wear sunblock with the SPF minimum of 50 for adequate protection of your skin. Right? Even I wear sunblock. Right? Let's say that, when I'm traveling around, let's say, like Bali areas, I always apply sunblocks all the times. Right? If you want to get tan, yeah, they are a healthy way. I'm not sure if the Indonesian people like to get tan, yeah? But if you want to get tan, they are a healthier, sunless method to get tanning, yeah, which we may discuss in other occasions. Yeah?
Then maybe that's all from us. Thank
Yeah.
you, Mr. Richard,
Yeah.
for your...
Welcome, Ayumi.
Yeah.
Welcome.